It's June 19th, 2024, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I'm Gerrisar, a WoW esports aficionado.
Hey guys, it's Bigmoran, a Cataclysm enjoyer.
Hey, I'm TreesapJake, and Deathwing burned my dad.
That's no good.
He stood in the fire. He got the achievement, though. I think that's the main thing.
You know, I actually died to that Deathwing fire while leveling. I like loaded out of an instance, and I was instantly dead, and I was kind of upset because Deathwing burned the quest area that I needed to complete all my quests. I was kind of sad.
Yeah, he kills everything. Everything dies.
I was like, oh.
You just stood there like going, how do I complete this?
What do I do now?
Did
Anyway,
you just log off and come back in 5 minutes?
Yeah. The fire goes away on its own. You know, Deathwing's not that good. he doesn't do a very good job of destroying the planet. You know, he lets things cool off a bit. But anyway, we're joined here today by Mysticall, who's been on the show a few times. Mistweaver main, but Mysticall, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I am Justin, or Mysticall, and I have played this game since vanilla, so a very long time. Started out as a hunter, and I raided mostly until I got told that my DPS was too low, so they made me swap to healer. And your DPS needs to be really bad in vanilla for you to be told that your DPS is bad. So swapped to healer, played Resto Druid up until Kata from about BC, and then I played Holy Priest. Holy Priest was a lot of fun in Cataclysm, and then started PvPing around BFA. I started playing Mistweaver towards the end of MOP, and I have not stopped playing it since. So started PvPing competitively in BFA, and now I just play Mistweaver pretty much 24/7.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Keeping the casting Mistweaver dream alive.
Yeah, more of a nightmare,
sigh.
but
Deep sigh.
More of a nightmare, but yeah, trying to, but it's getting there.
It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you on, man.
I love being on the show. Appreciate it.
We love you being here. That's why third time. I feel like if we keep doing this a few more years, we're gonna have to get like the 5 show jackets of like Saturday Night Live has or something like that, and we'll have to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's so weird. I was literally thinking about that. I genuinely was thinking the exact same thing. I feel like for repeat guess at 5 times, we should get him a little jacket that says sort of technically 5 times. I don't know, something like that. Technically underscore your 5th time. So or something like that. But I think that'd be really cool. Gerrisar, are you paying for that? I feel like.
So Gerrisar just started a Patreon.
Selling sexy pictures of his character.
Anyway. That's my OnlyFans.
Oh yeah.
I'll sell pictures of my human warlock's feet on Patreon.
But you could call it only stockades because you do the dance in the stockades.
Only mailbox. All right. On that. Well, hey, we're here. Let's get into the nitty-gritty and pass, and then we'll roll into the rest of the show. But first and foremost, let's see what I have brought to the table.
This likely won't be a clean fight, so keep your distance, eh?
Indeed. Nitty-gritty and pass. Today, it's my to-do. So I'm going to propose a little scenario with some options, and as always, we'll go around the table and see what everyone picks for their need, greed, and pass on this one. And I think we've probably covered this one somewhat in some other fashion, but I'm going to go for it anyways, and maybe do a little bit of a repeat in our own way. So this one is talking about arenas, and so obviously right now we have dampening in the expansion we are right now in Dragonflight, Cataclysm being Cataclysm Classic being what it is. There is no dampening, so obviously that's not great. Dampening seems to be something that has been used prevalently and adjusted slightly depending on how healing is and the amount of damage that's being done. So I was just going to throw out there is what if with the War Within, or maybe even a future expansion, because they like to change things and War Within is just around the corner anyways. But what if dampening was taken away? What would they replace it with? So thinking of things that they've done before. So obviously, is the nothing. Don't have, maybe what if we actually had full balancing and you didn't need dampening? What if, right? The other one is return back to the crowd chooses you. So after a certain amount of time, the match ends, and then the AI decides based on, I guess, how much damage you did and all the various number of metrics. Or the third one is assuming that healing is still fairly prevalent and fairly strong. I'm going to throw out there and say mana draining. So after a certain amount of time, your mana regen or like your mana pool just starts draining out. So you end up having 0 mana after X amount of time, which in a way is kind of what dampening does, right? But drinking doesn't matter anymore because you can't drink yourself out of a 0 or 100% mana draining scenario, right? So those are the choices. Dampening disappears and replaces with nothing because there's perfect balancing. The crowd chooses you, or massive mana draining. I'm going to throw it to Jake first.
Okay, I'm in the hot seat. Jesus. All right. I personally, so I think this is a difficult one because you've got so many options there, and I mean the obvious bait is that perfect balancing everyone would choose need, right? Everyone would choose need, but I think that is going in with the assumption that Blizzard do perfectly balance it, and I'm going to kind of come at it from a bit more of a realistic point of view, in the sense that I think it's going to be from their point of view of perfect balancing, which is definitely not, I think, equal to what we think is perfect balancing.
Oh, that's toxic.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone has a different opinion on things. I mean, in the recent interview with I think it was George, wasn't it, that was mentioned that they are happier with this kind of the play style that's in Dragonflight for PvP. So, I mean, I personally disagree with it. That doesn't mean it's not perfect for other people. But yeah, I'll say if that's the case, and that's their idea of perfect balancing, I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to need crowd chooses you. Because I think crowd chooses you because that's kind of reflective of how well you've done. Like, realistically speaking, if you put people into CC chains and if you kind of do as much damage as possible, you're good at your rotation, but then also kind of stop them from doing damage at the end of whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you kind of, the better team, as it were, kind of gets you in there. So I would need that. I'm going to say perfect balancing. I'm going to agree because obviously it would be nice if the game was balanced, but I still think that it might, I'm going to take a more cynical approach on that, and I'm going to pass on the mana draining just because I feel like some of the sneaky ways you can get off and get a drink is quite rewarding, and I wouldn't want healers to have less incentive for wanting to play, which I feel potentially could happen with that one.
Fair. All right. I like it. According to my screen, Mysticall. How about you?
Yeah, Caster Mistweavers already have mana draining. So I already know the games will last in 3 minutes if that's in the game for a fact, because I live through it every day. It's so painful. It would be nice if there was perfect balancing. And then I didn't play around when crowd chooses you was I didn't play much of Bop. So did someone just end up just winning? That he just decided if it was like a draw or something?
I think it was like overall damage for the team. So the team that had the most overall damage won.
So the team with like the Affliction Warlock.
Yeah,
you'd get if you were winning on damage, if you did more damage than the enemy team, past like 15 minutes, you get like a massive buff to increase your damage by like 10,000 or something.
Oh, that's crazy. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
I actually wouldn't mind mana draining. Like, I wish there was perfect balancing around healer, like mana, something like that. That'd be cool. I would actually go with need on mana draining, just because I want to see other healers suffer, like how I've suffered. So that's a need right there. I'm not even playing either. And then I do greed on perfect balancing just because, I mean, the balance now actually isn't terrible, but there are there's always gonna be outliers, but if perfect balancing, then I'll pass on the crowd chooses you, even though that sounds hilarious to get that buff. But no, I'll pass on that one.
All right. I wonder what your lightning bolt would do after you got like a massive buff of
Right.
10.
Yeah. Just one shot something.
Yeah. All right. Big.
So I just got some new data. I just looked up the crowd chooses you.
Mm-hmm.
So it greatly increased damage done by 1,000%, reduces damage taken by 100%, and here's the best part: allows you to see stealthed units. So I know there's a change I believe they're making next expansion to see stealth units through pillars with the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But this season in particular, or this expansion in particular, I remember having a game against Double Rogue, and anyone who's had a game against Double Rogue knows exactly what I'm about to say, where they just literally stayed in stealth, tried to do their one shot, vanished off with the eyes or whatever. They do the thing where they can get the eyes and vanish them off or what. I don't know how it works. And that was like anytime that happens, that just like ruins your day. So I'm actually going to need now on the crowd chose you, because if it allows us to see rogues, the rogue players who likes to do that, then that's amazing. I want that again. So I'm going to need that. Crowd chose you. I'm going to agree then on perfect balancing. I mean, I think this is the sensible solution. I think, as many players have pointed out, like dampening is kind of the band-aid solution to a class design problem, but that seems like kind of a complicated thing to fix, and as Jake mentioned, a complicated thing to get right. But it's a nice thing to try to aim for, I guess. Mana draining, I think that's interesting. I could see there being some balancing issues with that. Like, for instance, we're going to be talking about Fistweavers here in a moment. I don't know, like you can maybe then Fistweave at 0.
Yeah.
Like, to activate Ancient Teachings, do you need to spend mana?
Yeah, it's like 10k mana, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then I don't know, there would be some other balancing issues. I know next expansion, Resto Druids are going to be able to kind of Fistweave in some ways. And they can probably do it without any mana because they're going to be converting cat form damage to healing. So there could be some potential balancing issues with mana draining, which is why I think Blizzard tends to avoid that as a solution for dampening.
Oh, for sure.
So anyway, needing crowd chose you, greeting perfect balancing, and then passing on mana draining.
All right, cool. I'm gonna. Jake totally brings up a totally valid thing, and yes, perfect balancing I don't think can ever exist. There's always going to be something that's an outlier for whatever reason, and let's be honest, for perfect balancing, there needs to be some much more active control on a weekly basis, which we know doesn't happen. So be it. But even if that was the case, I'd love for perfect balancing. So I'm going to need perfect balancing. And while the crowd chooses you is a very neat gimmick, I think I'm going to pass on that. It's just a little too gimmicky, and I'm going to greed on mana draining. I feel like I think the trick to mana draining is that it would have to be at what point does it reach the unrecoverable amount, right? So it's just like, do we force matches to all be 5 minutes? Do we force, does it become forced at 10 minutes? Like what's that magic number? No different than the crowd chooses you. So so that's mine. Throwing it out to the listeners. If you're listening live, go ahead and give your options in the chat. If you're listening in your car or at work, well, if you're listening in your car, pull over and go over to our Discord. If you're at work, hop on over to our Discord and tell us what you want out of those three options. In the meantime, we're going to get into the upcoming PvP events.
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
Yes, stop hiding, get in there and fight. So I think the biggest one that I like to point out is our 3v3 conquest style tournament that we're planning to run on Saturday. Still needing some teams to sign up for that. Currently, we have $180 US that has been contributed to that tournament. So thank you everybody who has added to that. And if you could head on over to Matcherino and sign up, or donate some of your money, or do both. One of the but please head on over there because we want a lot of teams so that we can have an excellent day of talking tournaments. So do that. The other one is the Liquid Eve Ascension, the Great Push style tournament. So that's going to happen on the 29th of June. Signups, I think, are still open if I remember correctly. And again, this is for gender minorities. So to help elevate and provide an equitable tournament for those players you probably wouldn't normally see in, let's say, the MDI. And speaking of the MDI, the Proving Grounds just started today. They're going to be running through to the 24th. And starting the 5th of July, we'll start seeing the group play with the grand finals happening on the 19th of July. So that's as far as we know for upcoming PvP events. If anybody knows of any other ones, please let us know and we'll happily shout them out on podcast. But in the meantime, let's get into the real reason why Justin is here, so he can tell us all the reasons why Mistweaver monks are so awesome.
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
Yeah, I can do that. Forever.
Can you? Awesome. Well, hey, the floor is yours then. I think so. I just want to point this out. The last time you were on was 9.0, so it was right at the very beginning of Shadowlands, and I guess the big question in my mind, because obviously from Shadowlands to now to the War Within, the talent trees were completely revamped. A lot of classes were completely revamped. I gotta ask, how much did Mistweaver monks change?
Yeah, they didn't change much of Mistweaver from Shadowlands into Dragonflight. They made a bunch of the Soulbind talents. They mostly just added more for Fistweaver, because in Shadowlands, Ancient Teachings was a legendary, so they made that a talent, and then they just built that, made talents to kind of fit that play style. So that's been a major change.
Okay. All right. Well, that was a great podcast.
I was gonna say, I think Mistweaver Monk has undergone quite a bit of design changes over the expansions. I think possibly more than any other healer.
Yeah, they might have. They've definitely made a lot of quality of life changes, and like in PvE they were really good for I think 2 seasons now, but it doesn't always translate directly into PvP. Like they gave us more instant healing, which was nice. They gave us Shaylin's gift too, which I thought was gonna be really good, but it's really only good for fist weaving. I don't even use that much when I fist weave though. You go.
I just mean, with the dawn of monks and Mists of Pandaria, of course you had your core healing spells, which still exist today. Your hots, soothing mist, whatnot. But then you also had, the spheres. What were they called? You'd put them on the ground. Healing spheres.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was kind of a core part of monk playstyle. Then I think in Legion was when we saw Way of the Crane.
Oh, yes.
The first sort of major iteration of fist weaving.
Yeah.
Temporary fist weaving.
Yeah.
And I believe you could also cast while moving in in Legion, or was that BFA? You could channel while moving.
I think it was Legion.
Legion.
I think
okay.
It was a talent. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that sort of defined the monk play style.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of simmered down, I guess, until this expansion where now you have this whole new build, this major build to Mistweaver Monk, and basically the spec has been severed in half. Where you have these two really distinct play styles. So yeah, I think it's just one of those healers or one of those specs in general that has just undergone so many changes over the years, like so many dramatic changes that it's kind of it's kind of hard to keep up with if you're not actively playing the spec. Yeah. But I'm just curious, what is your favorite version of Mistweaver Monk?
My favorite version for expansion or play style?
Play style, expansion, whatever.
I definitely prefer to cast. over fist weaving. Fist weaving is fun, don't get me wrong, but I definitely prefer to cast. And I liked WAD style with chi. I really enjoyed being a monk, having chi, building it up with, I think it was Surging Mist at the time, that generated 1 or 2 chi, using your chi to use Enveloping Mist. And I found that really fun, and then they got rid of that. No more chi. Which I think is probably good now because a meta, I mean, if it's a fast meta, it's kind of hard to build up like chi, but it's still, I don't know. It feels weird being the only monk spec without chi. I miss it a lot, and I like the playstyle too. They have added a lot of things though since WoD. Like being able to port while stunned is nice too, and having double port is amazing, and stuff like that is nice.
Now, you just mentioned like the speed of the game. Do you think the speed of the game currently is why Fistweaver is sort of the default spec? Because I know Caster Monk is sort of like it's kind of slow, right? There's sort of this ramp. You know, you have to plant your feet. And
yeah. We're supposed to be the most mobile healer, but like I can't move and heal at the same time, so it's kind of hard. But yeah, I mean that and Fistweaver just has damage. It's just It like it's like a tipping point. Like I'll always like I don't fist weave often, but I'll always fist weave into like Demo Warlocks, like Demo Warlock Shadow Priest or Demo Warlock Mage, just because it's like they're so tanky, but Fistweaver has just enough damage to like force cooldowns and like a CC chin on the healer. That the casted, I just don't have it as a caster Mistweaver. I have no damage. No, I can crackle, but those crit for like 7k. So just the fact that they bring that damage is really nice to have when you fist weave.
Yeah, we talk a lot of, and I've seen a lot of people talk about how much like Mythic Plus sort of has influenced PvP design, like class design.
Yeah.
And it really seems like Blizzard wants healers to do damage. That seems quite obvious to me, and that's its own conversation whether or not that's a good thing. But it's like, okay, here you have two options. You have a version of Mistweaver that does 0 damage. Can't do anything really to help the team win the game. Like you have, your CC, but every minute basically. Or you have this monk spec that does not comparable damage to a DPS, but enough damage to be impactful. It's like it's an obvious choice. Sometimes.
It must be a nightmare to balance, to be honest. But yeah, I'm Mythic Plus 2, and you'd be crazy to go into like a higher key and not fist weave because the amount of you can do so much damage. Like you do in PvE, it's way more damage. Like you can do insane amounts of just damage on AoE pulls by spinning crane kicking. But even in PvP, like if you can leg sweep a target and you have damage built up, you could help your team get the extra 10, maybe 15% damage to get into like touch death range, and then get a kill. Like it's so good, especially in certain matchups. I feel like right now it's like kind of a coin flip right now because it's really rough into boomies because of Cyclone, or like druids in general because of Cyclone. And if you're not playing Ret Warrior or like Ret Demon Hunter that can help you get out of stuns, you could die because they nerfed every defensive Mistweavers have because of Fistweaver. Like they nerfed everyone. So there are opportunities where you could I think Fistweaver really isn't one of the best right now because a lot of people know to just spam CC it or spam root it. But there's other situations where you queue into like Demo Warlocks or like an Unholy Death Knight is when I Fistweave too. Like you just have pets that you can cleave heal off of, or they're not mobile and you just run them down. So it's like kind of a coin flip depending on the matchup. But it at 10 times out of 10, it'll always be better than Cast and Mistweaver. Just the damage alone makes it so good.
Just listening to this, and I can't help but wonder if, for PvP wise, if their thinking is designing Mistweaver for BGs and Fistweaver for Arena.
Yeah, you could actually Fistweave in BGs.
Well, of course you could.
It's really good.
Okay. And here I thought you would have wanted to be out in the back. And
I do, but it's that you could heal 5 people at the same time by also doing damage. Like you don't. I think the thing about Fistweaver that's different to other healers is you're not giving up anything to heal. Right? You're healing from the damage. You're not giving up globals to do damage. That's all it is. So there's no trade-off. you're just going and do damage. You heal your team,
All right.
and it's really good.
Yeah, which is interesting because I remember how much people hated Disc Priest for how much damage they would do.
Yeah.
And so here's another one
Yeah.
that's just in there.
People complain about Fistweaver damage. I got Disc Priest and Holy Priest are doing like 12 million damage in an arena. Like, where people complain? People complain about that?
I know they recently buffed like Resto Druid Wrath damage like crazy too. Like,
I see it and I'm like, what? I got hit for a 300k Wrath. What do we? What? I want. Where's my crackle damage?
Yeah. Oh, you got 7k. That counts.
Yeah,
right?
7k. We got 1.5 million health pool. Like, just give me something, anything.
All right. Okay. You know? I gotta ask then. So obviously we're in the twilight of the War Within. Sorry, we're in the twilight of Dragonflight. The War Within is just around the corner. We know it. What's to expect for War Within? Are we just going to see the same thing? Is it changing a lot? Like, what are we looking at?
We got some pretty cool talents. It definitely, they want Mistweaver to be a Fistweaver spec for sure. If I was to make a bold prediction in 1 to 2 expansions, I think Cast and Mistweaver will be like slowly gone away with. It's very clear that they want healers to do damage. Obviously, it's influenced by PvE, which PvE is much more popular than PvP. Like, I get it 100%. So they're going to kind of cater towards that, which is fine. But yeah, they're definitely structured some talents. There's certain talents that you can get to, but you need to take damage in order to get to it. And you need to do that, you need to Fistweave. One of the hero talent trees is just Fistweaver. And then the other one that's mostly for Caster Mistweaver isn't even that good. So even Caster Mistweavers are going to be taking the Fistweaver tree, it seems like. So Cast and Mistweaver on the beta and alpha felt pretty much the same. They got rid of Cloud of Focus, which was like our big heal, that kind of our ramp up heal. And they tried to compensate for that healing loss with one of the hero talents. But that tree is just, it doesn't feel good. It really doesn't. So again, it's just gonna be all about the damage. So nothing's gonna change for Cast and Mistweaver. Fistweaver got some pretty cool tools. They got, Clash is fun, which is everyone tells me Brewmasters had it, but I don't play Brewmaster, so it's new to me. So Mistweaver got Clash, which it's like a death grip kind of, but you bring yourself to the target, which is neat. There's new PvP talent for Fistweavers too, with the Fistweaver hero talents. So
nice.
It definitely feels. And then I just read the patch notes. They nerfed our grapple weapon range, so instead of 30-yard range, it's 20 yards. So obviously they want us to be close to the target to disarm. So they're slowly making us be close to that melee range. And I like it. I like 40 yards away.
And Revival got the major nerf.
They did. You know what? At first, I was really annoyed, but I've been doing RBGs at like the hero level this season. I get it. No, that's a deserved nerf. I'm okay with that. I am. It's ridiculous when you stack 3 Mistweavers and you get to spell every magical debuff. Like, if you rotate with your Mistweavers, it's ridiculous. So at first I was annoyed because they're touching my spec, but I will give them that one. They get a pass on that because that's Revival's a little over the top, especially for RBGs.
It was. It only took how many expansions?
Yeah, I know. And then they also they have the rated Battleground Blitz, I think. So they probably want like more like balancing around that, which is fine.
Yeah,
that's all right. I get it. We'll let other. If you see the charts like on Dressfar or whatever for RBGs, and you look at the chart is ridiculous. Like Mistweaver is like it's like rework patch.
Oh
like, with how far the bar is above everybody else. You just stack triple Mistweaver and.
Yeah, it's been like that for ages though. Like it was always whenever you're going to build an RPG team, like guaranteed you need to have a Mistweaver monk just for that revival for that. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I guess it's unfortunate for players like you that are diehard Mistweaver, like casting Mistweavers.
All 3 of us. I know.
all come on. There's 5.
I'm
There's 5
pretty
of you.
sure there aren't 5.
It's just you and Meep, I think, isn't it?
That's it. That's it. If you look at the NA ladder, I think Meep's number 1 and I'm number 2. And then on EU, it's just all Fist. And then everyone else, Fist. Like, all 2 of us, we're holding the line. It's not fun, though.
That's horrible.
It's like 300. It's like 300. Yeah. You're the Spartans, and the Fist Weavers are the Persians.
Exactly.
Sort of like they're throwing their kicks out, and you're like, and we will hide in the shade.
Yeah.
I don't know what the shade is, but hopefully patch notes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, just one question that's kind of popping up in my head. And I noticed this because I remember your tweet about the precog. You saw that it was on the gem for the War Within.
Yeah.
How necessary is precog as a casting monk? Because you have to hardcast a bunch of stuff, right? Like
I have to hardcast everything.
Yeah.
It's mandatory. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like the only point in the game where you can enjoy it is those 4 seconds of you know you're not going to get interrupted, you're not going to get CC'd on your healing. It's the best part of the game. So because there are games, I mean, you can ask anyone who's played Cast of Mistweaver. Games can get determined by one kick. Like you could play flawless the whole game. If you get kicked once, you could just fall behind and the game's over. So yeah, I'm happy. I thought they were going away with it. I was getting a little concerned, but I'm happy it's a gem now.
Yeah, I think that's better. Much better than the crafted system was cool in its way, but that felt a little less intuitive. I think a lot of, if players didn't know, then they were screwed.
Yeah, I had to get a crash course from my arena buddy Harambe, who knew what was going on. I was lost. Like season 1, I had no idea what was going on. But like once you get familiar with it, it's obviously straightforward, but it's intimidating. Like, I didn't know what was, and then you only got like one spark every 2 weeks, so you don't want to waste 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and you don't want to wait 2 more weeks because you crafted something wrong. You know how like the legendary system in Shadowlands, you know, you could disenchant something and get the dust back. I wish they had something like that where you could get the spark back. But
even if it's like half
it's intimidating.
A spark.
Right, even half a spark, I'm fine with that. But
yeah,
it was intimidating, but I didn't for PvP. It really wasn't terrible. Like the trophies, I really liked the trophy system.
Yeah,
that they added this expansion.
Yeah, that was season 2. I think they started that, and that was that was
I like that.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Chef's kiss, do you want to talk about some talents? Like if somebody was to pick up, let's say, somebody's like, all right, fine, listen to this podcast. Mystical made it sound like this. This is actually really fun to play. What talents would you say you got to make sure you take these, otherwise you're just screwing yourself?
Well, first, Mistweaver is fun. All right, it is. I promise. I won't lie. So for Mistweaver, like if you're casting, Peace Weaver is really good. So that's what makes Revival 1.5 minute cooldown and then makes everyone immune to everything. It's pretty much mandatory just because almost everything has magic damage. I mean, maybe if you're queuing to like, I don't even know, like a Windwalker, Arms Warrior. But if they're playing with an Archer, it's still good if it's against Cyclone. So there's like, Peace Weaver is insane. If you're playing it to casters, Counteract Magic has become my favorite talent. Especially, I'll just say Zen Spheres is really good. So that's what makes it so you can put one on a teammate, so they get like 15% more healing from you, and then you could put it on an enemy, and they take 10% more damage from everybody. But there's situations and comps where you don't have time for all those globals. Like some comps, it's just too fast. Right, or like if playing against Affliction Warlock, there's no point because it's spread damage. So I will take Character Magic sometimes versus Zen against Zen Spheres, like against Frost Mages, because it's too fast. They have so much CC. There's not a whole lot of time between CC chains to get those Zen Spheres up. So I'll play Character Magic to dispel Frost Bomb, Frost Nova, get those stacks of Character Magic. That way my teammate has a healing buff for like 30% more healing from me, and I'll play Character Magic. Yeah, it has slowly become like one of my favorite talents. I didn't play it a lot, but once you get the 3 stacks of Counteract Magic, you only need to dispel 1 debuff, and you can just keep it rolling the whole time. So Kind of wish they would buff the duration of it because 1 CC chain you lose the stacks, but that's okay. That's all right. And then if you're playing against casters, Zen Focus Tea is also pretty good. That's your aura mastery. It's not as good as precog because you can get CC'd on it. So ideally you want to use it after like you get polyed or something. So Peace Weaver, Counteract Magic, Thunder Focus Tea, Zen Spheres is good. But versus melee, you also want to grapple weapon. So, Marks Hunters, good for True Shot. DK is good because you can stop them from healing. Arms Warriors, Fury Warriors, really good versus them. And then Rogues, I think, Rogues is really good versus too. They can't gouge when they're disarmed. They can cloak it off though, so just be careful with that.
Yeah.
Mistweavers actually have. Oh no, you go.
I was gonna say I think DHs they can glimpse it as well, right?
So I can't believe that they can still do that. Yep, they can dispel their own. They can dispel their own disarm. So I don't play versus Demon Hunters. It's actually crazy, but
Fair.
Mistweavers suffer from success with PvP talent. Actually, like there's a lot. There's a lot of good PvP talents, and you can only choose 3. But that's only for Cast Mistweaver. For Fistweaver, you want to play like Fey Accord, so that's your slow, and then also reduce the cooldown on your Jade Fire Stomp. So if you're gonna get kited by casters, it's really good. Alpha Tiger really good versus anything like. So that gives you haste when you Tiger Palm a different target. So really good versus like Shaman because you can hit their totems. Demo Warlocks, it's really annoying versus Demo Warlocks if you're the Demo Warlock because they can get Alpha Tiger off of hitting a new imp that spawns.
Really?
just keep hitting imps. Same with BM Hunters. They summon a new pet. You can just get the Alpha Tiger buff. So stuff like that where you can be swapping often or there's multiple targets to hit. You can play Alpha Tiger, and then you have Grapple Weapon, Peace Weaver. Eminence also is good if you're not playing. If you're in Shuffle, I would play Eminence just because teams can probably swap to you. But if you're not playing like Ret Warrior, Ret Demon Hunter.
Which one's Eminence? What does that one do?
That lets you port while stunned.
Oh, right.
And then reduces the cooldown of it. So
that's right. Yeah.
That's good also for Caster Mistweaver too. If you feel like, RMP have the stun poly goes or Holy Priest, sometimes they kind of goof a little bit and they play the stun chastise and not the in-cap chastise. Because those are two, that's a big, because you could port in the stun chastise, not the in-cap one. So really good versus that too. But anything with the stun go. Holy Pallies too, because they'll try to like Hodge rep you or like Hodge Blinding Light. It's good to play Eminence versus that too. A lot of options for PvP talents. Yeah.
I like that. That's so much better than like some of the classes we go through and it's like, and it's these 2 for sure. And maybe this one or that one.
Right.
Like this one has a lot of options, which is nice.
Oh yeah. So. Yeah. You have at least like 6 options you need to choose between like each game. It makes it interesting. You can mix and match them a little bit.
I get it could be kind of intimidating though, as like a brand new player, like knowing which one, like, I don't want to pick the wrong one and be the reason why.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. Like if you queue, like I take the gamble, right? So if I queue into a Ret Warrior and I'm playing like a caster with a caster team and I feel safe, I won't play Eminence, which is port while stunned. And I hope the Ret Warrior team doesn't see it. Because if they do notice that I can't port while stunned, they're gonna kill me. Like who did I queue? I queued into Vanguards, I think in season 2, and I didn't play Eminence, and the man just noticed that I wasn't playing port while stunned, and I died in like 2 or 3 goes. So there are gambles, but calculated. It depends on what comp you're playing and what you're queuing into. But yeah, there are definitely, if you don't choose like the right PvP talent, you can lose easily.
Well, I can see that.
Well, what about like the actual main talents then? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I am a Mistweaver noob.
Okay.
Of the highest degree. Like it is, I think I've, I avoid healers like the plague. Mostly because I played in like original MOP as a Residrid and I sucked so bad. I was like, I just shouldn't be allowed on this class again. So I actually don't know much. I played a lot of Windwalker, but not played any of the Mistweaver. So what would your sort of go-to PvP kind of talents look like?
All right. If I had to choose 3 for Caster Mistweaver, it'd be Peace Weaver, Zen Focus Tea, and then Eminence on the safe side. But if you don't want to play Eminence, you could play Zen Spheres.
Okay.
Those what I would get. If you're fist weaving, I'd go like Fey Accord, Peace Weaver, Alpha Tiger.
Cool. As for the PvP talents, right?
Yeah, for PvP talents. Yeah.
And what about in the main like talent tree? Is there anything that like pops out from that you'd need like that kind of works in there?
Yeah, the thing about Mistweaver is like all the Fistweaver talents are on like the left side of the Mistweaver tree. So you just follow that tree down. You just follow that. The only talent that I change personally is I really don't like playing Shayloon's Gift when I Fistweave. I don't know. There's something weird about like casting a spell when I'm fisting. So I'll play like I think it's Misty Peaks, which makes sure Renewing Mists have a chance to proc Enveloping Mist.
Okay.
But that's the only thing. And then Caster Mistweaver is just like the middle of the tree, and it's pretty separate.
Yeah, to be fair, when I'm fisting, I also don't like casting. It's yeah.
This is a PG show, Jake.
I'm talking about fist weaving. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Yeah.
All right, sure.
There's a joke there. Phrasing. Is there any nuances though? Like, is there any like depending on what the counter comp or is there or counter comp talents where it's like this or that depending on what you're up against, or is it just like set and forget? Fist weavers this side, casting Mistweavers that side, done.
It's pretty set and forget. The only talent I'll change is Revival versus Restoral. Okay. So Revival dispels magic debuffs, but you can't use it while stunned. And then Restoral doesn't dispel magic debuffs, but you can use it while stunned. So I only really changed that to Revival versus like Affliction Warlocks. Yeah. Maybe Ellie Shaman or Shadow Priest, but that's the only change. Everything else is pretty set and forget it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing is that we've got such an expert with us on the podcast. It's just so easy to kind of just get all the information that you could ever possibly need.
Yeah. Sorry. I want to catch on something though. I was looking on your YouTube channel and I don't remember seeing a guide for season 4. Is that because like nothing's really changed since season 3, so you just didn't like? There's no bother.
No, I didn't. Yeah, it's pretty much the same.
Okay.
So I just used the season 3 one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if anybody ever wants to, at least now they know where to go and to get that clear information.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I think it's it's just a very interesting concept that one sort of spec has such a dichotomy between it, sort of having like a melee fist versus versus the ranged option of it. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, I've tried hard to make like a hybrid build that like cast and fist at the same time. It's not possible.
No,
there's just not enough talent points to like make it work, sadly, and the hero talents don't do too much either to kind of help with that. So yeah, it kind of feels like old Feral Druid, like how Feral used to be like you could tank and DPS depending on the talent you take. That's what it feels like now. Just two completely different play styles.
And I guess you need to get to the capstones, so it's not like you can go like halfway and be enough.
Yeah, no, I tried. Yeah. It's just they're on two different sides of the tree and everything. You can't get to all the talents you need.
That's too bad.
Yeah. See, that's the shame. That's what I'm talking about. When we're talking about perfect balancing, it's perfect balancing in the eyes of Blizzard. So this is the concept of okay, we don't want anything that's a sort of hybrid. We'll make sure that that's not able to get to in their design choices.
Yeah,
because I think I kind of remember fondly it was where the crane where you had the option like you did range and then you went in and it was like a cooldown.
Yeah. That's what everybody wants too. Well, not everybody. That's what I want and what other people want is like it used to be a 1 minute cooldown. I think Legion it was a 1 minute cooldown. It got you out of stuns, but and you could do damage and everything. But I think you lost Soothing Mist. I'm pretty sure. I think it replaced Soothing Mist, so you had to hard cast all of your healing spells, like your Enveloping Mist and all that. So there was a trade off, but it was cool. And BFA it was similar, but it didn't get you out of stuns. It was a 1 minute cooldown. It cost 25% of your mana, and it got you out of roots and all that, but no stuns. And still, that was a cooldown though. And I think that's what people want. That's what I've heard. It'd be nice if like, you know, you could misweave, but like, let's just say your team's ahead, or you know, you're not falling behind and you want to do damage. You press your 1 minute. I wouldn't mind if it was a 2 minute cooldown, and you could just go do damage. Kind of like Ultimate Penance a little bit. You know, I mean that's a 4 minute cooldown, but you know, you press it to recover. It's like once a game, once a shuffle round, and it does damage, healing. It's kind of what I'd like.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Way of the Crane was very good.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't PvP that much, so back in Legion, so.
There is. I remember my friend Jax made like a notepad because you played human with Crane, and you had a PvP trinket. This one, human Rachel and PvP trinket didn't share a cooldown. So I think mathematically, if you wanted to stun a monk for full duration, the only time that'd be possible would be like almost 3 minutes into the game. Like otherwise they always had a break for a stun.
Right? That's funny.
So yeah, it was kind of tough times for everyone else playing against these monks. One thing we haven't touched on yet is tier sets. You know, of course, season 4, everyone got the community came together and voted on tier sets. Yep. And I'm not familiar with monk sets. So which set did you wind up getting? Was it season 1, 2, or 3?
What we got is perfect. No, I'm actually happy. Like
what?
No, we got a good tier set. Other people, I mean, they didn't get a good one, but my tier set is perfect. I don't mind it at all. Actually, it's so good they made it a talent for next expansion. So I am good with it.
But which season did it come from, though? I think it's
season 3.
It's season 3. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So it's just
and I mean, just looking at it, it looks like it's one of those tier set things that just like it rewards you for maintenance. You know, renewing mist applies chi harmony to the initial target. Increases or healing taken. So is this something that, like, you know, does this mean renewing mist is really high on your priority list in terms of keeping that active?
Yeah, it should be number 1. Mistweavers also have a talent, Rapid Diffusion, which when they use Rising Sun Kick or Enveloping Mist, it puts Renewing Mist on a target, and that also puts your 2 set on it. So yeah, it's really good. Like it's really nerfed in PvP. So it's 50% in PvE, and it got nerfed down to 15% extra healing.
Okay.
It was 25%, and then, you know, like Mistweavers are good for a week, and it got nerfed. So they nerfed it a second time, and it's 15% in PvP. Yeah, but it's just 15% extra healing though. So I mean, that's just put Renewing Mist, or use the Rising Sun. So it's really good for Fistweaver, right? Because you can Rising Sun Kick and apply it through Rapid Diffusion. So I mean, it's really good. I don't use the 4 set when I cast though. The stats on gear is really really bad. It's like crit, like verse. And
yeah,
it's high crit. So when I cast, I play the 2 set on, I think it's the helm and the legs. I think the helm is haste mastery, and then the legs are verse mastery. And Fistweaver, you can play 4 set. It's just passive healing when you fist, which is nice. So stats don't really matter too much. But yeah, I only play 2 set when I cast.
And then, I mean, looking forward to the War Within, I believe you said that the Fistweaver is here to stay. Is that the Conduit of the Celestials? Is that the Fistweaver build, or is it the other one?
Yeah, Conduit of the Celestials. That's the one with just damage.
And it looks like you're getting a new ability too, the Celestial Conduit.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
That tree is so perfect. Like, I love it. I literally, even if it wasn't good for Cast and Mistweaver, I'd still play it. Like, it has all the Celestials. You have a different passive for each one. So Yu'lon, it is kind of weird though, because it forces you to play Shaylin's Gift even when you cast or Fistweave. So when you use when you use 16 stacks of Shaylin's Gift, Yu'lon spawns, and it reduces the cooldown rate of your like major spells. So like Life Cocoon, Thunder Focus Tea, all of your like major cooldowns by like 75%. for I think 5 or 6 seconds. So that's really good. And then Jwen gets spawned. Well, it's a random spawn. It has a chance to proc when you use Vivify or Rising Sun Kick. So you just have passive damage. And then after Jwen procs, you get a buff from Nyozu. I think that's how you pronounce it. That makes it so Enveloping Mist puts a shield on all of your teammates for like, I think 1.5% of your health pool. And then Chi-Ji has a chance to proc, and that one will heal and then also give you a speed buff. So what that Celestial Conduit does is when you press it, it does AoE damage and healing, and then at the end of it, all of the Celestials spawn, and you get all the procs at the same time. So you get the extra healing, the extra damage, the shield, and the cooldown reduction at the end of that cast or at the end of the channel. And I think it's a 1.5 minute cooldown. It's a really nice tree. I love it. And then there's also some things for Cast Mistweaver, like it buffs like your Vivify and Enveloping Mist, and I think there's one that buffs a random stat every time one of your Celestials procs. But yeah, it's a really fun tree. It's really good. The damage, the healing. I actually like everything about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That just sounds really awesome.
Yeah, you summon all of them. I love it. I've wanted it for so long, like forever. I remember making a video in Shadowlands, like before Shadowlands, saying how bad Mistweaver was, but Mistweaver's fun. And like at the start of the video was like, all I want is a spell that has all the Celestial spawned, and I'm so happy they did something like it because like it's just cool. It's just a cool concept. It's so much fun.
It's an alien feeling to be really happy with your tier set,
right? Oh yeah, I can't relate to other people. Like I'm happy. I really am.
Okay.
No, I'm glad. I'm quite happy.
I know you sound happy.
Yeah, no, I am. This time I actually genuinely am happy that someone has a really good tier set because that's awesome. Like I think when the stars align, it's nice. I just wish it was kind of across the board,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of the voting. I don't know what they were thinking, but yeah, I mean, it was so good they made it a normal talent for Mistweavers for next expansion. I don't think we could heal and like compare to other healers without it. So yeah.
That kind of leans into this other, and from how happy you are, I think I know what the answer is going to be. But how do you feel about how they've gone through DF and now going into the War Within with PvE tier sets and PvP?
So you kind of cut out the start there.
Oh,
how do I feel about? No, you're good.
So how do you feel about having PvE tier sets in PvP versus like before well, not always, but there was a couple times where we had PvP tier sets for PvP. So yeah. I'm just kind of curious, how do you feel about it with this?
Yeah. So I really didn't PvP when like PvP tier sets were a thing. Like separate, I played a little bit. But from just my experience, I feel like it's an easy problem to solve. Like, just give PvPers a tier set. You know how the trinket has like a set bonus right now, and I know this would make it so you can like use PvE trinkets, but like you can move that set to like the 2 set for PvP, and then the 4 set is like you choose another PvP talent or like something like that. I don't like it that much because so like in Shadowlands, right? Mistweaver tier set was so bad you didn't play 2 or 4 set. And so I'm playing against people that have a good 2 and 4 set. And it's not even comparable. Like you just get run over. I'm literally playing without a tier set. I have no extra bonus. I have no, extra damage or healing or nothing. And then I'm playing against like a warrior that can just do insane amounts of damage with their 4 set. So I'm not the biggest fan of it. I like tier sets. I don't like that they're like combined. And then even now, some tier sets get nerfed to the point where I don't play 4 set because it's just so bad for caster Mistweaver, but there's other healers where their 4 set's insane. So like I can't compete against if you have a class or spec with no tier set or just one versus a class or spec with tier set on 2 and 4 piece. It's not even comparable. Like they're just better.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's you're not wrong though. I
I'm
think,
not.
yeah.
But I do like tier sets. Like, don't
Oh,
get
yeah.
me wrong. I do love them. Just I wish that they were separate. I
I
really
like
do.
that. I like that they change. They can change the meta. They can change how a class plays because they
Yeah.
change how the prioritization of your spell usage or your ability usage is, which I think is cool.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I think tier sets are fun.
for sure, for sure. Speaking of other fun things that we actually have control over, and you kind of hit on this a little bit with the, you talk about 2-set, 4-set stats. So, what are you looking for as a Mistweaver, and does it change between casted versus fist weaving?
Yeah. So yeah, they are completely different stats. You need you need 2 different sets of gear if you want to play both.
Wow.
For cast and Mistweaver, you want, because you're heavily relying on Soothing Mist, which is
Mhm.
your cast. It makes all your spells instant when you channel it. So you need some haste. You need what I've played is about 18 to 20% haste. Kind of makes that global not as painful.
Okay.
And then you just dump everything else into mastery. So mastery makes it so whenever let me think, renewing mist, vivify, enveloping mist, expel harm, or revival. Basically, whenever you heal, you just make a second heal. You
Okay.
just heal a second time, based on how much mastery you have. So a lot of people, you'll with some crafted gear and mostly PvP gear, you'll probably have about 180% mastery, but I try to craft for just straight mastery, like the engineering bracer is just 1 stat. So try to get to 30% verse and 18% haste, and then dump everything else into mastery. If you're planning on casting. For
Okay.
fist weaving, it's just haste verse. Yeah,
Really?
you get, actually that I want to talk about that. It's interesting in the War Within, but right now you want haste verse
Okay.
because your mastery doesn't affect anything. Crits nerfed in PvP, so you just want haste verse. But there's a talent in the War Within that makes it so your mastery heals when you do damage. So I think there's a chance that mastery will be really good for fist weavers in the War Within.
Okay.
I tested a little bit on beta, and I had 200% mastery. Oh no, sorry, 100% mastery and 7% haste, which you would never do on live right now when you're fist
Yeah.
weaving. And I healed fine. So there's a chance that the mastery actually is pretty good in the War Within. So I'm excited to
Okay.
test that. Yeah. But
I'm
not right
surprised.
now.
I'm surprised it's only 18 to 20% haste. Because some of your stuff is hots, right? So I would think
Yeah.
you'd want to try to hit some sort of a haste breakpoint to get more more hots through within the cast time.
Yeah.
Within
Enveloping
duration.
Mist. Yeah, it's mostly for renewing mist doesn't heal as much as it should. I'm kind of sad about it, and most of it comes from enveloping mist. But that spell costs so much mana that you need stacks of Cloud of Focus before you could press it. So haste is good, and I ran a full haste build in season 2, and it worked. But with how high damage feels and the large health pools, you need the mastery healing. Envelop Mist will still do a good amount of healing for sure, but you need the mastery makes your healing spells feel like they're actually healing. Without mastery, your Vivify is healing for nothing. Your mastery won't do much either. So it's good, but you'll way faster because Envelop Mist is going to be your number 1 heal, and that is the most mana. And mastery just helps with kind of smoothing that over. You get the extra heal, and then you could still do a good amount of healing with Envelop Mist from the 20% haste.
Okay. And then racials. Looking at Murloc and a couple other different places, it looks like Night Elf and Orc. I found that a little weird. Was the highest picks. I think maybe that's just a bunch of people that have Orc left over from Shadowlands or something like that. I don't know, but I definitely see a lot of people are playing Night Elf nowadays though, just because of Shadow Meld.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you're casting, you need to be Night Elf. It lines up with your Revival or Life Cocoon. So what I do is first life cocoon of the game, I'll port, meld, drink, because you're gonna run out of mana. It's just it's just gonna happen. So try to get drinks when you can. So and then next life cocoon or revival, you can meld the next one. Orc is probably because they're fist weaving. There's a good chance. Maybe they're scared of getting stunned. Maybe they're not playing like Ret Warrior, so they kind of need that. I know Hardness was nerfed, but still a little bit. It's better than nothing. Gnome is good. Gnome is really good as well, for both Fistweaver and Mistweaver. For it gets you out of Root Beam. Boomies are super popular. Frost mages, all specs of mage are pretty good. So get you out of Frost Nova, get you out of the Root Beam versus Balance Druids. And then I'm surprised, but I think in Shuffle, Undead is really good too. Just Shuffle specifically, I think in No Arena, you want to be Night Elf or Gnome. But yeah, for Shuffle, that extra, Will the Forsaken, it's pretty good. Warlocks are pretty meta, Dragons are meta, Warriors, they all got some kind of fear. Priest as well, Holy Priest. So there's been a lot of games where I would have definitely lost if I wasn't Undead.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder. Humans can be monks, though, right?
Yeah.
I wonder why people aren't human then too. Just because you have the double break, you have the double. If you time the medallion with your everyone for themselves, right?
Yeah, you don't really like you have, if you're scared of being stunned, you can just run Eminence. So you just port while stunned. If you position well and you don't waste Eminence and you rotate, you really won't die often. The annoying comp is like some kind of like roguelock where they can stun you and then coil you, because that coil you can't port out of that. Most of the time you have to trinket out of it if they have a lot of pressure on you. But outside of that, you can normally just port and avoid damage. Teams will normally they won't even try to chase you behind a pillar if you port. They'll just swap to somebody else.
Well, it's easier, right?
Yeah, well, exactly, right?
Trying to chase down and you even said it, like trying to, yes, you have to stand there and hard cast, but when you're not casting, monks are still very between your rolls and your.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live for it.
I guess speaking of which, win conditions and whatnot against monks. We'll talk about strategies in a second. But what are your best comps, I guess, in 2v2 and 3v3?
In twos, if you're casting, probably right now with the Demon Hunter. I mean, just pick the best melee. Fury. I mean, Fury Warrior, Arms Warrior, Demon Hunter. Earl's pretty solid. I play with a Demon Warlock, so that twos bracket isn't fun for us. If you're fisting, same thing. Just pick the best melee. Arms Warrior, Fury Warrior, Demon Hunter. Oh, Rogue, really good with Fistweaver because you just get kidney shot, which is nice. For threes, there's two main comps. The main comp from Mistweaver is Dragon DK. That's probably one of your better comps. It's a little bit cheesy.
Og or
no. Dev Frost DK.
Oh, Dev and Frost.
Yeah, that's probably one of your better comps to play, just because you have the instant CC from in-cap sweep, and then you can also play Song for the enemy healer while your DK grips and does the go, and hopefully one-shot something. And you can do that consistently every minute. So you have leg sweep every minute, in-cap, and then you have Song. So you just keep doing that over and over and over, kill whoever doesn't have trinket. So I don't play that comp. I don't know many depths or DKs. So I don't play that comp. You want to mostly focus on double caster. So I've been playing Mage Lock a lot or Shadow Play. Those are the two main ones. You could play caster melee too. So Thunder is pretty solid. Demon Hunter Boomy as well. You really just cannot play double melee if you're casting. You're heavily reliant on your Cloud of Focus, which breaks those stacks when you stop channeling Soothing Mist. So if you're bouncing from one target to the next, you're losing your buff, and you're gonna So if you want to play double melee Fistweave, Ret Warrior, Ret Demon Hunter, Turbo. I've played some Assassination Rogue and Hand Shaman. It's absolutely insane. So that's really good, but that's mostly for Fistweaver.
What about TSG Fistweaver?
Yeah, I played it. Yeah, TSG works too. Yep.
Nice.
Demon Hunter, Hero Cleave, Demon Hunter DK. If you want to play double melee, you fist. If you don't have a double melee, I would cast. I mean, you can still fist weave with casters, but they did just increase the range of it to 40 yards, up from 30 for fist weaving healing. So it is viable to play with casters, but there's some times where they need to like kite further. They can't outrange your healing. So that is kind of annoying, but if you're going to cast, stay away from the double melee.
Fair. And Big.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so and then we've kind of talked about RBGs a little bit. Mistweaver Monk seems to be the RBG healer. Now, are they playing Fistweaver in RBGs or
So
normal?
I've tried it. I've done the testing for you, so you don't have to. They will swap to you the entire game. So I mean, the healing is absolutely insane for Fistweaver and RBGs, but it's not conventional. You should probably just stick to. It's actually good. Casting is actually good in RBGs. I didn't talk about it much, but you want to play haste verse as well. If you need like 3 sets for Mistweaver. You could play haste verse when you're casting in RBGs, because that's when your hots actually do matter, and the team fights don't normally go too long, or you can find a leaf if you're running out of mana. So just spam your Enveloping Mist on everybody, your Enduring Mist, and your hots actually are insane. But yeah, you're pretty much what I've run into is triple Mistweaver for RBGs. I've seen Prez double Mistweaver, but I have not seen less than 2 Mistweavers on an RBG team above like 2300 MMR. It's a minimum double Mistweaver with either disc or Prez.
And that's purely because of revival
and our mobility. If we need to like peel out to, I don't know, Wrathy
Basin. Ring of Peace is really good in RBGs.
Yeah, and then also I just found out the other day is the summon, the statue, the Windwalker statue on the node at the bottom, that can spin flags. So you can just spawn it there and it'll spin the flag for like 30 seconds.
What?
Yeah, so I just found
That's
that.
So broken.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Well,
so
and let's be honest. What's it? Your ability to sort of crackle tosses people. That's also.
I live for that. Oh yeah, Eye of the Storm, Wrathy Base, and Lumbermill. I'm there. Like I live for knocking people off the map. Yeah, I love it.
Between that and Ox Kick, so annoying. So annoying.
Oh, I know.
What's the viability in BGB in the Blitz? Is it still is it the same then, or is it
probably? Yeah, I would say Mistweaver is going to be really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I just found out you can queue with if you're a healer, you can queue with a DPS.
Yeah, that was initially. So they did dual queues in BGBs.
That's insane. Yeah, that's gonna be so much fun.
You can actually double queue as double healer.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's only 2 healers on a team, right?
Yep.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. So
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Now they might break it, but currently in the testing for the Brawl, you can dual queue into Battleground Blitz, healer tank, healer DPS, or double healer.
And you get rating obviously in the rated Battleground Blitz, right?
Yeah, in the rated version that's coming in, the War Within, that's gonna
be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Cool.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna stop asking questions. Sorry, Big, I interrupted.
No, it's all good. So I guess if we're out there wanting to play Mistweaver Monk, I mean, can you give us maybe 3 goals that you should aim to do basically in every single arena game? Like, what should you be focusing on? We're going to assume you're going to be playing Fistweaver in arena, but I guess maybe if there's a goal that applies to both, like what would be 3 good goals for playing Monk?
Assuming we're Fistweaving?
Yeah, or if there's a goal that can be applied to both, then that's better.
Yeah, if you're Fistweaving, uptime is, again, you're not like other healers where like you can go from casting heals to doing damage. If you're not doing damage, you're not healing. So goal number 1 is uptime. if you're and hit something. If you're getting kited by a warlock, hit an imp. Like you do full healing off of doing damage to imps. So or whatever. Totems. You get totems to do your full healing. So that's like number one thing. Two, it's kind of for both, but be as disruptive and annoying as possible. Like really. Ring of Peace is the most fun spell in the game. You could use it to interrupt. You can make it so you kind of knock somebody LOS out of position. So you can do that as caster or Fistweaver. You know, you have your kick, you have leg sweep, you have all these tools. And in the War Within, we're getting a slow. So you can be able to spam slow people. So just trying to be as annoying as possible with all your interrupts. You have the Mighty Ox Kick if you're Fistweaving as well. And you're in like queuing into a caster. So there's that. And then the third thing, probably just be towards Mistweaving. But for Fistweaving, I guess just don't get juked. It's really important. Use taunt. That's a really good one. Or provoke. Provoke is your taunt. You could use it when you're casting or fist weaving. If you're fist weaving, I would just press off cooldown because a lot of the times, especially in shuffle, a lot of teams aren't coordinated, right? So you can normally just taunt pets and it'll break the CC on you because it's normally pretty random. You're already around where AoE damage is going out, so most CC breaks on you. If you're misweaving, you can taunt pets. Try to be a little bit closer to like the Hunter and Warlock pets, but if you can get it right before the CC, it'll normally break. So try to be disruptive. Try to be annoying, and then taunt your CC. You'll be in a good spot.
Nice. And then, say on the flip side, say we're playing against a Fistweaver monk. Like, what would be 3 tips, like 3 good things to try to counter the Mistweaver?
Yeah, for the Fistweaver, you want to kite them and slow them. So it's probably comp dependent, but if you're playing with some kind of mage or boomy, the most annoying thing you can do to a Fistweaver is like rotate your cyclones. So cyclone the monk, and then off DR, cyclone whoever you're trying to kill. That way they can't heal whoever you're trying to kill, and then you can just keep cycloning them over and over, and then also spam root them because then they need to spend globals either dispelling themselves or Tiger's Lusting, and it's just super annoying. And then the cross CC is really important, especially if they're playing Ret Warrior. It's a lot of the times, a lot of people think that they can kill the Mistweaver in Ret or even the Ret Pally against Ret Warrior, but I think the Warrior is actually, because they have Intervene and then they have Bob from the Ret. You're never going to kill a Fistweaver if you're playing the right comp. So focus on CCing the Mistweaver and then trying to kill the other DPS as much as you can. Cross CC is important. If you gap anything, it's going to be kind of hard. And then dampening is kind of rough on them too. That's like probably the third thing. If you can survive long enough, dampening's rough because their healing is spread across 3 people. It's that you no longer heal one person at a time. They heal. I mean, if they're doing 3, it's going to heal 3 people at a time. So dampening is going to be pretty rough on them. So just try to survive later into dampening, and then one CC chain, you can probably get a kill on the DPS.
And then before we go on, I know you can like evasion monk damage, right? Like you can, but one thing I don't know how I don't know how this works. But say you pain suppression the target the monk is healing, does that reduce the monk's healing or no? Oh, okay.
It does. Yeah, your healing is based off of how much damage you do. So yeah, if you're hitting into like pain suppression or anything like that, and you're doing less damage, you're gonna do less healing. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and there's a lot of
so it takes server side damage, not
so
client side damage. That's interesting.
Things like evasion and parry, blur is painful. Fist of Fury from the Windwalkers when they had the parry talent is also really painful. Then you have bops, bubble, block, all of that. Just try to make it so they can't hit you. If you're playing with a Death Knight, Chains of Ice, mages, you got Frost Nova, you got all the roots. Just spam CC, spam root them. That's the best you can do.
So if I was a warrior playing against you and you're fist weaving, it makes sense for me to sit D stance the whole time because you'd be doing.
Yeah.
I'd actually
I don't
gimp
fist
your
the
healing.
warriors. Yeah, okay. I don't. It happened one time where like I think it was I was full and I fisted. I think it was against Warrior Rogue, and the Pally bubbled, the Warrior parried, and the Rogue evasioned, and I literally I couldn't hit anything. There was nothing I could heal off of, and we lost. And I got sad. So
I'm sorry. That's sad, but kind of funny at the same time.
No, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. I'm just sitting there like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So
where's the pet? Where's the pet?
Yeah, exactly. There were no pets. I would have swapped that thing so fast.
No. All right. Oh, so now we know how you win and we know how to kill you.
Oh yeah.
All right.
We've got one last question, which is actually my personal favorite question, and that question is: if you had the unlimited money, and unlimited influence, if you had every single dev in your back pocket, they answered only to you and you alone, what is the one thing you would change with anything?
About Mistweaver or anything?
Anything. I mean, you can make it Mistweaver. Anything, whatever you want.
Rogues would be removed from the game. Oh, they would be so gone. I can't take it anymore. I'm sorry. If it wasn't that extreme, I would nerf Kidney Shot. But if it was Mistweaver alone, I would get rid of the Fistweaver playstyle and make it a cooldown. Like, make it a real cooldown. Make it a 2-minute cooldown. You know, get rid of the playstyle of it. Make Mistweaver's cast, and then give us a damage, cooldown that makes it impactful on the game. Where I could, if my team's ahead or we're not falling behind, I could use it, do damage.
I mean, I think that makes sense. Yeah. I'm really on board with this rogue.
No, rogues would be removed from the game instantly. Like, as soon as I step into the office, they'd be gone.
And
sorry.
Delete.
No,
I wouldn't be sad. I wouldn't be sad.
I think anything like they're just the spec and the class that just do the most annoying things all the time.
That's it. They're just annoying. And I queued into that double human twos as well, like 5 times in a row. Nah, that was enough for me. So, yeah.
I say the worst one I feel is I don't know if you remember right at the beginning of Shadowlands, the triple rogue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember.
They
can't even hide it. Rogues can never hide it. How broken they are. They got to play the triple rogue, double rogue. Let everyone know. The reason I dislike them is I started taking PvP seriously in BFA, and that was with corruption, and they use that trinket, that trinket that increased my corruption, and they would one shot me. Yeah. And I said nope. They would triple sat me, blind me, get my corruption to like infinite, and then kill me. I said nope. I'll never like rogues ever again.
Yeah, so. I will never forget the BFA gushing wounds rogues.
Oh my god! And the demon hunters, man. I remember I lost to a rogue that would just throw dagger, or whatever it's called, throw the dagger, and they'd proc gushing. And just kill us.
Fan of Knives dead.
The crazy thing is actually, and this is maybe a horrible thing to have to admit, but weirdly enough, Ellie I have fond memories of Ellie, but you did play Gushing Wounds, and you were like this one caster comp that would just like slam people with Gushing Wounds. And I remember so many games because obviously Ellie's just got like nothing, like no staying power, no like finish you off kind of thing. It was like not in the best state at all. I was spamming Frost Shock, praying, hoping that I got a proc of Gushing Wounds just so I could finish someone. It was horrible. God, those are tough times.
That sounds tough. That sounds tough. I'm kind of curious what Big's one thing is though this week.
My one thing,
convert retail to cat.
Geez, I think as I've heard described on stream before, like retail class design is kind of like Pandora's box. Like it's already been opened, but it would be kind of cool to get some like WoW to, some, because it seems like right now, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, is like we're kind of now on this path of Mythic Plus being this game mode that sort of dictates game balance and class design, and it would be nice if we could somehow go back and scale things back a little bit. You know, I don't know what that would look like, but I think that would be cool because I tweeted about this the other day. Like the War Within, as much as it seems pretty hype, it's the same class design for a lot of specs. It's just like you get your hero talents that are basically just power ups to whatever you're currently doing. You know, my for Resto Druids, my trees are stronger. You know, that's it. That's the new class design for Druid, which I'm sure a lot of people are not very happy about. But I like the trees. So yeah, it's WoW 2 would be my thing. I would change, going back in time somehow, wrapping around, changing
Alright.
the game.
So I'm going to be annoying here, and I'm going to say I would have Mistweaver monks. Get get an evoker treatment. So they would have the choice of casting, fist weaving, or some sort of like augmentation, like a support version. So you could be a support healer instead of a or maybe just delete fist weaver and turn it into like a support class like augmentation was.
Yeah,
That's
that was fun.
Can you imagine an augmentation Mistweaver?
Ugh.
I mean, one of the best comps was Aug Feral Fistweaver.
Yeah,
Horrible.
Like,
that was a PvE fiesta.
No,
Okay, so maybe that's a bad idea. Never mind. Forget what I said.
What do you mean? The Feral Cast clone, man? Of course. No, that's he's seeing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine augmentation plus an augmenter, like an aug evoker plus an aug Mistweaver plus some other DPS? Like,
Gross.
okay, yeah, that does sound bad. All right, Jake, what would you do?
Yeah, actually, I'm actually going to take the kind of I suppose inspiration that I got from saying, you know, what if we revert back to Kata? I would actually revert mobility back to Kata.
Ooh.
I think Kata's got one of the best mobility sort of situations that I've possibly ever seen, really. Like, I feel like mobility-wise, everything's got something, but it's not, like, so crazy that you just can't get away from it. It's, like, actually kind of good. Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
you've got Heroic Leap. You haven't got Gate from Warlocks yet. You've got Life Grip. Like, you've got quite a lot of things that I just really have just enjoyed. Like, I've never felt like the mobility is bad. I feel often, you know, it's quite good. But at the same time, there's enough of it that kind of makes it sort of, you know, that specs that are like, I don't know, wheelchairs like Ret Paladins and DKs, they've got enough to kind of make it viable. So I would actually revert the mobility back to then, because then I think retail WoW would be in such a great place, personally.
I think to do that, you'd have to get rid of all the micro CC though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
Well,
what they're doing, actually. I feel
Kata
like.
has a lot of micro CC to be like,
Yeah.
oh my god, Dragon's Breath is quite broken
True.
in Kata.
True.
Doesn't break.
Yeah.
Speaking of it, did
Destroys
any of you guys catch Zico 2v2 by himself?
Yeah,
I
I
did.
caught one game. That was so funny.
If
Did you ever
anybody
see?
oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, did you ever see Thessia do it?
No, I never
Oh.
did.
Thessia was like the king of that, playing Rogue Mage by
Oh
himself.
my god.
Wow.
And yeah, it's kind of funny because I see whenever these sort of clips are posted online, people are always like, "How dare they?" Like people are mad about it for some reason, but it's like kind of cool, you know? It's like
Oh, that's hilarious.
badass.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How dare they do something so well that they can do it twice better than I can one time? Damn it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of things that people can do better than I can, why don't we run through the PvP news and then get out of here?
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
All right, into the news. Here we go. So ahead of or for Cat Classic, not ahead of it, but pretty much on the launch of it, the esports team had a couple of events. One was a speed run of the Blackwing Descent. So this was a 2-day event where 2 guilds, they took some tunes, brand new tunes. They had to So they spent a day, I think, gearing them through heroics, and then the next day they went and ran the Blackwing Descent raid. So first and foremost, I guess huge congrats to the guild None of the Above for winning the Dragon Slayer challenge. I'm gonna admit I'm a little disappointed by this one because so apparently they gave the guilds the option of what difficulty level of raid they wanted to run, and they opted for normal, and so they ran it and they were done. Like the actual raid run was done in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Normal's easy, like really easy.
Yeah. And it's not like it's
So-
not the first time. Like these are highly qualified speedrunners where like they know exactly what to do, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed.
You think? I mean, I don't know. I feel like it should be heroic. If you're going to do it, you want to do it at the most difficult part to make it an actual proper race. I feel like the problem with a lot of classic PvE based content is that it's over very quickly because the content is so easy. Like it's such a, for a lot of people that have basically been in first world mythic raid, first world world first. I don't know what happened there. World first mythic raiding, like retail is significantly harder. So it just makes sense to me that
I mean, I don't want to take away from it. I mean, they did it in 30 minutes. I think that's insane.
that is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy good,
Right.
for sure.
But and maybe they asked for normal because based, just out of fear of RNG for running the dungeons and not sure if they were going to get enough gear in order to be able to actually do heroic and survive. Maybe.
That might have been it because I imagine there's sort of some gear checks maybe in heroic, and I think didn't they only have like a day to prepare their gear or something?
Yeah,
Or how did that work?
So the 8th was just running heroics, which you could only run once, and then the 9th it was running the raid. So literally they had a day.
Okay.
So I get it. I kind of, but at the same time, it's like, it just seems,
cool.
yeah. I feel like maybe there could have been a better way to doing this, but oh well. And then following that, the following weekend, there was the Kata Arena Tournament, which was held the 14th to the 16th of June. Jake, I'm assuming you watched some of this?
I did. I watched all of it. I don't know if Big watched it as well, but it was so good. It was actually so good. There were a couple games on EU that I'd like to mention. It was Mir and Chaz's team versus PhDK, and oh my god, like there were so many like cross kills and 2v2s, and then they went down to like 2v1s, and it was just insanely good. Like I honestly thought it was really good quality. Like it felt like just a decent AWC to watch, and it was very exciting. It was also interesting, watching the NA finals as well with, spoiler alert if no one's watched it, but I mean it has been a week, so I feel like people should be caught up. But it's with Chan and Cubsy's team versus Team Liquid with Sea-Doo, and that was so good. Like seeing them play DK Rogue, I mean, you'd never see that realistically on the ladder. Like I know, apparently it was like a main comp in Kata originally, but or one of the ones you could go for. But I've never seen it on ladder personally at all, at least not in Europe. And it was really cool. I honestly thought it was such a good event. It's just a shame that I have a feeling that we're not going to see I would like to see another one. I'd like for them to run it, but I get a feeling they're not gonna, because obviously they run these arena tournaments in between the retail ones, and then you don't really see them again. So I hope they do run another Kata one, because I think it'll be really sick to kind of have it all the way through, and people are really enjoying them. So definitely worthwhile going back and watching the VODs.
Yeah, I think if you watch the NA series, I think Mez won 2 games from stealing Fear with Dark Simulacrum. Like it was kind of cool. Like Lord Mez came in the clutch.
His Dark Sim's always been so clutch, though.
Yes, I think he's the. I've always thought like back when that ability was a thing that people played in retail. Like I always thought Mez was just like by far the best at it. Like
He was.
it's crazy.
He was.
I'm pretty sure he used it in like the grand finals of the retail.
Yep.
Really?
Like, yeah, he dark simmed. I think it was a clone.
Yep.
Ah.
Yeah, and I think he cloned the healer, and then that's when they were able to get a smoke bomb with the healer far away. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right.
It's funny because it's a PvP talent now, and I don't DKs don't really ever play it, which is kind of sad. It's like this is like the coolest
so
ability.
Cool. Yeah, it's so cool.
I think it's because there's so much fluff nowadays. Like you put it on someone, and it's like it'll instantly go on. I don't know, like renew or something. I don't know. It's just like nothing crazy. But if you're lucky, you can get some really cool stuff.
Probably like weak auras, but there's probably like some giant like don't cast like
Yeah.
You got Dark Sim on, just press fade. All the DK does is reduces threat. But I think it's such a good feeling. I've been playing quite a lot of DK in Kata as well. And like when you put it on expecting to kind of get something else, and you accidentally get the instant cast Ring of Frost from a mage, that feels so good. It feels incredible. And you're like, I'm an absolute god right now, like totally unintentional, but I feel like an absolute god. I'm about to completely and totally CC the whole team as a DK. But it's like it's such a cool ability, but it has such a high skill ceiling, which I think is vital to that sort of thing. And I feel like it's kind of missing.
Well, you can steal a Hodge from a pally, or you can steal like a holy shock or a heal or something like that, and bubble, yeah, like so many good things you can grab. Anyway, that said, great in a number of games. Huge shout out to the workshop over on the EU and Team Liquid here in the NA for winning the first place in their regions. And if anybody hasn't watched it, highly recommend you go and watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. Hot fixes. So there's been a number of hot fixes since the last time we did a episode. A couple of ones which are bug fixes, which I think was some made some good changes for PvP. So apparently Evoker Chrono Loop was bugged in the Blackrook Arena. So apparently they fixed that. So whatever that was, where I guess it didn't work in some places. Another one is Blessing of Sacrifice now breaks Psychic Scream. So apparently that wasn't working, and now it does. So does that make Holy Pally viable in Arena now, just because of that change?
It's a very good question.
I don't know if it makes that big of a difference.
I don't think
Holy Pallies are sandbaggers. I'm just gonna put that out there. I can never trust what a Holy Pally says because they always act like their class is the worst in the game. I don't know why.
20 different cooldowns to rotate.
Yeah.
Like must be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think everyone remembers BFA season 4 as well, and they're like, "We're never forgiving you. Don't just shut up."
Never be forgiven for that.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
I got Hodge into a Hodge, like it's season 4. Like I will never forgive them ever.
Yeah.
I actually don't blame you at all.
Working as intended. Last but not least, over on the Cata Classic side, Balance Druids. So they, the devs. I don't know if they forgot and then they just got reminded, but for all the Balance Druids out there trying to sit solar eclipse as long as they can, good luck. They've changed it so not to allow that, and to also kind of push everybody around to the different stances.
They nerfed me.
Yeah.
Well, they actually that's a buff to Boomkins in Arena, but that's like
It
a
is.
nerf to BG. It's funny because I've been linking those screenshots of me topping the meters. I was kind of exploiting this bug, to be honest, or not this bug, but I was kind of exploiting this this thing. I didn't even know other people were doing it. That's funny.
Maybe you're the only one and they were just tracking you, but yeah.
Oh, I got us nerfed.
Thanks, Big. Way to go.
Oh no.
Expect the ban in 2 to 3 working days.
Yeah.
On that, I think that's about it for PvP. I can't really think of anything else that I saw in the show notes. Did you guys see anything else I missed?
No, I mean, I know there's been a lot of changes that's happened on the beta. Beta. but that's a lot of stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff going on there. Which, to be honest, with you, when we were talking about micro CC earlier, I feel like weirdly enough, I was very skeptical about the War Within and the design, and we've talked about hero talent slightly. Some people I've talked about them before where I don't feel like I'm that excited about them, but this change and what seems to kind of be coming from the patch notes about like people having to choose between like DKs choosing between asphyxiate and strangulate, for example, I think it's a good change in the right direction. I think one of the changes that's coming is only sub has Shadow Dance. Brilliant change. It's just, yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's stuff that sort of just makes sense that we just have randomly in Dragonflight that just doesn't need to be in the War Within. And if it's moving towards this way of kind of removing micro CC as much, giving people kind of more like a block of CC, you can kind of start doing chain CC again to get kills, which I think is actually better for the game than just pure PvE damage, because then it's sort of like you just don't know what you're doing. So I think actually feeling very positive minded about the War Within changes.
Yeah, I agree. I just really hope that they balance the hero talents. Like if there's one that's like broken, please, like really hope that they can balance, because it's a lot of talents and it's even more modifiers to like everything.
Yeah.
So like I just hope that they can balance the talents for PvP, please, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah. I will say I noticed just recently, so a lot of the War Within changes to date have all been on, the hero talents, changing some other talents, modifying, changing how classes we're going to play and everything. It seems like they're settling in on a bunch of the classes, because I noticed that they started working on the PvP talent side. So seeing some more changes there, removing talents, putting new ones in. There's that one you noted on the distance. So the range that melee abilities were getting too much range. So now they're nerfing that. Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, you shouldn't be able to punch from 20 yards away and somebody else feel it. Like that's a little ridiculous.
I'm just happy rogues can't hit me through pillars. I'm so happy. Like I can't believe it's been the game.
Yeah, so, it's applying poisons through pillars is kind of rough.
I'm trying to get a drink and he's hitting me, stabbed me through a pillar. Like, how is that possible, man?
The giant rock in the way. I stabbed you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I the one thing I'm just trying to lead up to is just I'm starting to see that PvP stuff is starting to get iterated on, which is nice. So I think we'll have a bit more to talk about with the War Within in the coming weeks. So that said, again, shout out to the community. Pay attention to what's being done in the War Within from the beta, and if you see something that's broken as F and or something just going in a direction that as a community we probably don't want, then make sure you be vocal. Don't wait until it's too late, because once it's set in stone, it's pretty hard to change. So last piece of news, I think this is also equally important, is so there was a play with the Blues last Friday, but the queues weren't working. I think everybody had to go through Battleground Blitz in order to get into the new Deep Hall Ravine. I think they fixed it now, so there's a new PvP with the Blues scheduled for this Friday. So if you have beta access, make sure you log in, queue up. Let's have some fun. Let's test that new BG. It's fun.
Have you played it? I haven't gotten a chance.
Oh no, I haven't either, but it's fun.
Yeah,
no,
it's fun. We swear.
So many videos. Everybody talks about it. Everybody's like, it's so much fun. It's so good. Yeah, it's so well designed. So I will be there this Friday. I promise. That's my plan. I actually was going to be there last Friday, but I had to drive my wife to the hospital instead. So priorities.
Oh,
hope she's okay.
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine now. Anyways. So that said, what was the timing for it? It was Friday the 21st at 6 p.m. Eastern, so 3 p.m. Pacific. Sorry, actually, that's still a reasonable time for you, right, Jake?
What was that? What time would that be? That's 11 for me, isn't it?
Yeah, on a Friday.
Yeah, on a Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, you should be fine. All right. I think that's about it for the news. Shout outs. Quick shout. We'll start with you there, Mystical. Anybody you want to shout out?
Shout out to you guys for inviting me to the show. I appreciate it. I will always say yes every time you ask. I love it.
Good.
Anyone that watches the streams or anything, and all my arena partners, I have, shout out to Harambe. I drag him into twos, even though he doesn't want to, and we get run down by all the warriors, but he had hunters, but he still queues with me, so I appreciate that. And anyone that watches, and I just appreciate everybody.
We appreciate you. I don't think we'd be able to even carry this podcast talking about. We wouldn't know enough about Mistweaver.
Oh, I can go on forever. Of course.
If we had all the time in the world.
Oh yeah.
Over to you there, Big.
I'm going to give a shout out to Venruki because I accidentally upset him by talking trash about retail WoW and saying, why are you not playing Kata? But, retail needs to exist too. All things in balance. So, sorry, Venruki. If you're listening, shout out to Venruki.
All right.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Ven. Jake.
I'm gonna big shout out to my my girlfriend. Actually, it is our 3-year anniversary today.
Wow.
And I sadly couldn't spend it with her because I had to do this podcast. And I'm kidding. No, I'm joking. No, I did see her during the day. I had other things that we were doing, sadly. But it's a big shout out for her for putting up with me shouting in the living room when she's trying to watch Love Island.
I love Love Island, by the way.
Love
Yeah.
Love that show.
A lot of people love what.
You watch the Australia version? Or you watch the UK version?
The UK version, of course.
Oh my god, I love it. Yes.
That's what they like, though. That's what
I
English
love
people
it.
like.
Yeah.
Big up. Yeah, anyway, that's my shout out.
All right. I can't say I've ever watched Love Island. Probably happy for that.
Love it.
I'm going to give a shout out to the people that have donated to our tournament so far, because without them, we wouldn't have any prize pool to give away to people. So kudos to those people who took their hard-earned cash and decided to give it to us to reward whoever wins this tournament. So shout out to them. Mystical.
Yes.
Where can our listeners find you?
You can find me mostly on Twitch and YouTube. So it'd be Mystical X on Twitch and then Mystical the Monk on YouTube and Twitter. Mystical the Monk on YouTube and Twitter.
All right.
Try to upload 3 to 4 times a week. Try to give you as much Mistweaver gameplay as I can.
Indeed.
This is gonna sound creepy, but I I looked at your YouTube a while ago, and I was like amazed at how many videos you've uploaded over the years. I was like, oh my god!
I literally love Mistweaver.
Like a machine.
I know. I try as much as I can. Anything that I learn or anything interesting or exciting in the arena games, I just try to put up there.
I love it.
Let me see. Yeah, let me see how many videos you got. 1.5 thousand.
Let's calm down. I know it's all Mistweaver too. It's so embarrassing.
If you want to watch Mistweaver Monk on YouTube, go to Mystical. You're bound to find something.
I will say I do enjoy because being Eastern time, like I'll sign in on like a Saturday morning. I'll be doing my auction stuff or whatever, and you're always streaming. You're always
I'll be there.
Yeah, I love it.
8 a.m.
Yeah, makes for a nice little morning, Saturday morning. I'll be drinking a coffee and watching you complain about Mistweaver and why you can't cast, and I'm posting my auction houses.
Yeah, I'm glad that's enjoyment. I'm glad that's entertaining.
It is entertaining. All right, Big. Since everybody knows where to find Mystical, why don't you tell everybody else where they can find us?
Oh, absolutely, I can. You can contact us directly with a tweet to @technically_PvP or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Productions Discord.
And you can also visit the Bonus Roll website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows at www.bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system, so head over there and tell everyone what you think of your favorite shows, including our own.
What is a renew system on a website?
I don't know. It's a holy priest thing, I think.
Well, as always, the links for everything we talked about will be in the show notes. I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll chat with you next time. Good night, everybody.